Something is stirring in the darkness between the galaxies, and we've found evidence. Something is wrong with the universe, not in the way we once imagined, with explosions or collapsing stars, but in something far quieter, far more unsettling. It is hidden in the vast darkness between galaxies, in the regions we once dismissed as empty, irrelevant, silent. For generations, we believed those immense spaces were nothing more than cosmic gaps, mere distances separating islands of light like our own Milky Way. But the deeper we look, the more that assumption begins to fracture. Because when we point our most sensitive instruments into that darkness, we do not find nothing. We find motion where there should be stillness. We detect influence where there should be absence. We observe galaxies behaving as if they are being guided, pulled, or even shaped by something we cannot see. It is as if an invisible hand is quietly sculpting the universe from behind a curtain we have only just begun to notice. And here is where it becomes difficult to ignore. These are not isolated anomalies. They repeat, they align, they form patterns that suggest structure. Something vast and hidden is woven into the very fabric of the cosmos, stretching across distances so large that the human mind struggles to hold them. What we once called emptiness may be the most important part of the universe. So the question is no longer whether something is there. The question is what it is. And the first clue did not come from a grand discovery announced to the world. It came as a signal that should not exist. The signal that should not exist. In the cold silence between galaxies, astronomers began to notice something subtle, almost dismissible at first. A deviation, a measurement that refused to align with everything we thought we understood about how the universe behaves. It was not loud or dramatic. It did not announce itself. It lingered quietly in the data, waiting to be taken seriously. Light from distant galaxies was arriving wrong. Not broken, not distorted in obvious ways, but shifted, bent, influenced, as if it had passed through something unseen. According to our models, there should have been nothing there to affect it. No stars, no gas, no visible mass, just darkness. And yet, the light insisted otherwise. This is where the tension begins to build. Because in science, one anomaly can be ignored, two can be questioned. But when the same pattern emerges again and again, across different regions, observed by different instruments, it becomes something else entirely. It becomes a message. And this message was clear, even if we did not yet understand it. There is something in the darkness that interacts with the universe in measurable ways, without revealing itself directly. It does not emit light. It does not reflect it. It does not behave like anything we are familiar with. But it leaves fingerprints in the motion of galaxies and in the path of light itself. What makes this even more unsettling is how consistent these signals are. They suggest not chaos, but order, not randomness, but structure. As if the universe is built upon a framework that we cannot see, only infer. A hidden architecture that reveals itself only through its effects. And once you accept that possibility, something shifts. The darkness is no longer empty. It becomes active. It becomes influential. It becomes essential, which leads to a deeper realization that changes everything we thought we knew about the cosmos. Because what if the greatest mistake we ever made was believing in emptiness at all, the great misconception of the cosmic void? For as long as we have looked up, we have been guided by light. Stars defined our maps. Galaxies became our landmarks. Everything we understood about the universe was built on what we could see. And so, by default, everything we could not see became something simpler in our minds. Nothing. Empty space. A silent separation between islands of brilliance. But this idea was never proven. It was assumed. The vast regions between galaxies were labeled as voids, a word that carries a quiet certainty. A void suggests absence, a place where nothing exists, nothing happens, nothing matters. It gave us comfort because it simplified the universe into something we could grasp. Light here, darkness there, structure surrounded by emptiness. Yet the universe has never been obligated to match our expectations. As observations became more precise, that comforting simplicity began to erode. Those so-called voids were not behaving like empty regions. Galaxies near their edges moved in ways that hinted at invisible influences. Their paths curved subtly, their speeds resisted prediction. Something was affecting them from within the darkness itself. This is where the illusion collapses. Because emptiness does not create motion. Nothing does not pull, shape, or guide. And yet, something in these regions clearly does. The space between galaxies is not passive. It is not silent. It is not irrelevant. It is participating in the evolution of the universe in ways we are only beginning to recognize. What we once dismissed as the absence of everything may, in truth, be the foundation of everything. And if that is the case, then every map we have drawn of the cosmos is incomplete. Every model built on visible matter alone is missing the greater part of the story. The darkness is not a gap in the universe. It is a component of it, as real and as influential as the galaxies themselves. This realization forces a shift in perspective that is difficult to accept. It suggests that most of reality does not reveal itself through light, that the visible universe is only a fraction of what truly exists, that we have been navigating a vast ocean while only acknowledging its surface. And once you begin to see it that way, a new question emerges with unsettling clarity. If the void is not empty, then what is exerting its influence from within it? Because the next clue does not come from light alone. It comes from gravity itself speaking without a source. When gravity speaks without a source, there is one force in the universe that does not lie. Gravity does not speculate. It does not imagine. It responds only to what is truly there. If something has mass, gravity will reveal it, quietly, consistently, without needing light or visibility. It is the most honest messenger we have ever known, and that is precisely why what we are seeing is so disturbing. Across vast regions of space, galaxies are moving as if they are being pulled by something invisible. Not gently, not randomly, but with a coherence that suggests direction. Clusters rotate faster than they should. Outer stars refuse to drift away, even when there is not enough visible matter to hold them together. It is as if an unseen presence is anchoring them, binding them, controlling their motion from the shadows. This is not a minor discrepancy. It is a contradiction. Because according to everything we once trusted, the visible mass in these galaxies should not be enough to produce the gravitational effects we observe. The math does not close. The predictions fail. And yet, the universe continues to behave as if there is far more mass than we can account for. So gravity begins to tell a different story. A story where most of the mass in the universe does not shine, where entire structures are shaped by something that refuses to reveal itself directly, where the true weight of the cosmos is hidden behind a veil that light cannot penetrate. And this is where the tension deepens, because if gravity is responding to something, then something must be there. Not metaphorically, not theoretically, but physically present in a way that influences the motion of galaxies across unimaginable distances. It is not an illusion. It is not an error. It is a signal repeated across the universe, impossible to ignore. What we are witnessing is gravity pointing toward an invisible reality, a reality that surrounds galaxies, threads between them, and extends far beyond what we can see. A presence that shapes the universe from the inside out, without ever announcing itself in light. And once you accept that gravity is revealing something hidden, the question becomes unavoidable. If this unseen force is guiding galaxies, how far does its reach extend? Because what we begin to uncover next suggests that galaxies are not drifting alone through space. They are moving along paths, silent highways that stretch across the universe itself. The silent highways between galaxies. Once you accept that something invisible is shaping motion across the universe, a deeper pattern begins to emerge. Galaxies are not wandering aimlessly through space. They are moving with direction. When astronomers map their positions and velocities across enormous scales, something unexpected appears. Instead of randomness, there is alignment. Instead of isolation, there is connection. Entire clusters seem to flow along invisible paths, as if guided by a structure we cannot see, only trace through motion. It is subtle at first, almost easy to overlook. But when enough data is gathered, the illusion collapses. These movements are not independent. They are coordinated. Galaxies are following routes that stretch across millions of light years, forming vast, interconnected pathways through the darkness. This is where the universe begins to feel less like a scattered collection of objects, and more like a system. Because these paths are not arbitrary. They connect galaxy clusters like threads connecting distant points on a hidden web. Where these threads intersect, matter gathers. Galaxies form, grow, and cluster. Where they thin out, space appears emptier, quieter, more diffuse. The structure is not visible in light, but it reveals itself in motion, in distribution, in the architecture of the cosmos. And this changes everything, because if galaxies are traveling along these silent highways, then the space between them is not empty terrain. It is a framework, a scaffold. Something is defining these routes, shaping the large-scale structure of the universe in a way that light alone cannot explain. It is as if the visible universe is only the surface expression of something deeper, a hidden network that determines where galaxies are born, how they move, and where they will eventually gather. A system so vast that it stretches beyond any single observation, yet consistent enough to leave a trace wherever we look. And once you see that pattern, it becomes impossible to unsee. The universe is not just expanding, it is organizing itself along lines we cannot directly observe. The darkness is not separating galaxies, it is connecting them, which leads to a realization that carries an unexpected weight. If these invisible highways exist, then they must be made of something that fills the universe far more completely than the galaxies themselves, something that gives the cosmos its true mass, the weight of the invisible universe. At some point, the question stops being philosophical and becomes unavoidable. If something unseen is shaping motion, guiding galaxies, and forming structures across the cosmos, how much of it is there? The answer is not small, it is not marginal, it is overwhelming. When scientists began to calculate the total mass required to explain what we observe, the result did not just challenge expectations, it shattered them. Everything we can see, every star, every planet, every glowing galaxy accounts for only a fraction of the universe's true mass. The rest does not shine. It does not emit light. It does not interact with us in any direct, visible way. And yet, it dominates everything. This invisible component outweighs the entire visible universe several times over. It forms vast halos around galaxies, extends far beyond their luminous edges, and fills the space between them with a presence that cannot be ignored. Without it, galaxies would not hold together. Clusters would disperse. The large-scale structure of the universe would collapse into something unrecognizable. This is not a theoretical convenience. It is a necessity imposed by reality itself. Because every measurement points in the same direction. The motions are too fast, the structures too stable, the patterns too consistent to be explained by visible matter alone. Something else is carrying the weight of the cosmos, quietly shaping everything from behind the scenes. And this is where the perspective shifts again. We are not living in a universe made primarily of stars and galaxies. We are living in a universe dominated by something we cannot see, cannot touch, and barely understand. The luminous world we observe is more like a thin layer, a visible trace floating on top of a much larger hidden foundation. It is a humbling realization, because it suggests that what we perceive as reality is only a small fraction of what actually exists, that the true substance of the universe lies beyond our senses, beyond our direct observation, revealed only through its influence on everything else. And once you begin to grasp that scale, another question emerges, even more profound. If this invisible mass defines the structure of the universe, can we map it? Can we take something that cannot be seen and still trace its shape across the cosmos? Because the next step in this journey is not just about detection. It is about drawing the first maps of the unseen. The first maps of the unseen. There comes a moment in every scientific discovery when observation turns into understanding, not certainty, but direction. Once it became clear that something invisible was shaping the universe, the challenge was no longer to prove its existence. That part was already written in the motion of galaxies and the weight of cosmic structures. The real challenge was far more ambitious. To map it, to trace something that does not emit light, does not reflect it, and refuses to reveal itself directly. At first, this seemed impossible. How do you chart something you cannot see? The answer emerged from a simple but powerful idea. If the invisible cannot be observed directly, then its presence must be reconstructed through its effects. Every distortion of light, every unexpected motion, every gravitational anomaly becomes a clue, a fragment of a larger picture waiting to be assembled. And slowly, piece by piece, that picture began to take shape. Using vast surveys of galaxies and the subtle bending of light across deep space, scientists started to outline structures that should not exist if the universe were built only from visible matter. Patterns emerged, filaments stretching across unimaginable distances, dense nodes where galaxies cluster like cities along invisible intersections, and between them, vast regions where the structure thins but never truly disappears. What appeared was not chaos, it was architecture, a cosmic network so immense that it redefines our sense of scale, a web-like structure underlying everything we see, where galaxies are not isolated objects but markers of something deeper, something that extends far beyond their visible edges. The universe, it turns out, is not scattered randomly. It is organized along lines we are only beginning to trace. And these maps are not artistic interpretations. They are built from data, from careful measurements repeated across the sky. Different methods, different instruments, different teams, all converging on the same conclusion. There is a hidden framework holding the universe together. This is where the realization becomes impossible to ignore. We are not just discovering objects in the universe, we are uncovering its skeleton, a structure that existed long before the first stars ignited. A pattern that may have been imprinted in the earliest moments after the birth of everything. Something ancient, persistent, and fundamental. And that leads to a question that reaches further back than any map can show. If this hidden structure shapes the universe today, did it begin at the very start? Because to understand what it is, we may need to return to a time when the universe itself was just beginning to form. Echoes from the birth of everything. To understand what is shaping the universe now, you have to go back to a time when nothing we recognize existed. Not galaxies, not stars, not even atoms as we know them. There was only an expanding ocean of energy, born in the aftermath of the Big Bang, a moment when space itself began to stretch and time took its first measurable steps forward. It was not a calm beginning. It was violent, chaotic, filled with fluctuations so small that they should have disappeared into uniformity. But they did not. Tiny variations in density, almost imperceptible differences in the distribution of energy, were preserved as the universe expanded. These were not accidents. They became seeds. Over immense stretches of time, those slight imbalances began to grow, amplified by gravity, shaping the earliest structures long before the first light ever appeared. And here is where the mystery deepens. Because the patterns we observe today, the vast filaments, the clustering of galaxies, the hidden framework we are only now mapping, seem to trace back to those original fluctuations. It is as if the universe was imprinted with a blueprint at its birth, a structure written into its fabric from the very beginning, guiding everything that would come after. This is not speculation built on imagination. It is supported by the oldest light we can observe, a faint glow that fills the universe, carrying information from a time when it was still young. Within that ancient signal are subtle variations that match with remarkable precision the structures we see today. The implication is profound. What we are detecting in the darkness between galaxies may not be something that appeared later. It may be something that has always been there. A fundamental component of the universe, present from its earliest moments, shaping its evolution across billions of years. And if that is true, then this hidden structure is not just influencing galaxies. It is part of the universe's origin story. But even that may not be the full picture. Because if these forces have been present since the beginning, guiding the formation of everything we see, then we are left with a possibility that is both exciting and unsettling. What if what we are observing cannot be fully explained by the laws we currently know? The possibility of unknown forces. There is a moment in every scientific journey when the evidence stops fitting comfortably inside existing theories. This is that moment. For decades, the invisible structure shaping the universe has been described using concepts we already have, like dark matter. It explains the extra gravity, the unseen mass, the way galaxies hold together. It works well enough to guide calculations, to simulate cosmic evolution, to give form to what we cannot directly observe. But works well enough is not the same as understanding. Because even with this explanation, something remains incomplete. We still do not know what dark matter actually is. We have never detected it directly. We have never isolated it in a laboratory. It exists as an answer that solves equations, yet refuses to reveal its true nature. And that opens a door most people are hesitant to walk through. What if the problem is not just missing matter, but missing physics? What if the universe is governed by forces we have not yet discovered, laws that only reveal themselves on the largest scales, in the deepest darkness, far beyond the reach of our everyday experience? The behavior we are observing, the patterns, the coherence, the structure, might not be fully explained by anything we currently understand. This is not a rejection of science. It is the continuation of it. Because every time humanity has faced a contradiction this profound, it has led to something transformative. New laws, new particles, new ways of seeing reality itself. The anomalies we once struggled to explain have often become the foundations of entirely new fields of knowledge. And now, once again, the universe is presenting us with a challenge. Something is shaping galaxies across unimaginable distances. Something is guiding structure on a scale that dwarfs our entire existence. And we are trying to explain it with tools that may only describe a fraction of what is truly happening. So, the question shifts again. Not just what is out there, but whether we are even asking the right questions. Because if new forces are at work, they will not reveal themselves directly. They will leave traces, subtle distortions, small deviations, signals hidden in the path of light itself. And that is exactly where the next clue begins to emerge. When light becomes a messenger of the invisible, there is something extraordinary about light. It travels across the universe carrying stories. It does not just show us where things are, it reveals what lies in between. Every beam that reaches us has crossed vast distances, interacting with everything along its path, leaving behind subtle clues that most eyes would never notice. And in those clues, the invisible begins to speak. When light from distant galaxies moves through space, it does not always travel in a straight line. It bends, it curves, it shifts, as if passing through a landscape we cannot see. According to our understanding of gravity, this only happens when massive objects distort the fabric of space itself. Stars can do it, galaxies can do it, clusters can do it. But here is the problem. In many cases, the distortion is far too strong for anything visible to account for it. This is where light transforms into something more than illumination. It becomes evidence, a silent witness revealing the presence of hidden mass. Astronomers study these distortions with precision, mapping how light stretches and warps as it journeys across the cosmos. And what they find is consistent, repeatable, impossible to ignore. There is something out there bending light without ever revealing itself. This effect is not rare. It appears across the universe, shaping our view of distant galaxies, magnifying some, distorting others. In some cases, entire rings of light form around empty regions, as if outlining the presence of something massive that cannot be seen directly. These are not illusions. They are signatures, marks left by an unseen reality interacting with everything that passes through it. And this is where the realization becomes unavoidable. We are not just observing the universe. We are observing the influence of something hidden within it, something that reveals itself only through how it alters the path of light. Light becomes a messenger, carrying information about structures that would otherwise remain forever concealed. It allows us to map the invisible, to trace the outline of something that refuses to be seen directly, but cannot hide its effects. And once you begin to read these messages, the universe starts to feel different, less like a collection of isolated objects, and more like a system where everything is connected through forces we are only beginning to understand. Because if light can reveal the unseen, then what it is showing us is not just a mystery. It is a system in motion, a system that may be far more dynamic, far more interconnected than we ever imagined. The universe as a living system. There is a subtle shift that happens when patterns stop looking accidental. At first, we see galaxies, clusters, filaments as separate pieces of a vast cosmic puzzle. But the more we observe, the more those pieces begin to behave like parts of something unified. Motion connects them, gravity binds them. Light reveals interactions that stretch across distances so large they almost feel impossible. And slowly, a new perspective emerges. The universe does not look static, it looks active. Galaxies are not fixed objects drifting through empty space. They move along defined paths, influenced by structures we cannot see. Clusters grow, merge, and evolve. Filaments stretch and connect like veins across a cosmic body. Even the expansion of the universe itself is not passive. It accelerates, driven by something we do not fully understand. This is not the behavior of a disconnected system. It is the behavior of something dynamic. And when you begin to see it that way, the analogy becomes difficult to ignore. The universe starts to resemble a network, a vast interconnected system where each part influences the others. Not alive in the biological sense, but responsive, structured, evolving. Every galaxy becomes a node, every filament a connection, Every motion, a response to forces acting across scales we are only beginning to grasp. The patterns are not random, they are consistent, repeating across billions of light years, suggesting an underlying logic that governs how everything interacts. This does not mean the universe has intention, but it does mean it has coherence. A coherence that emerges from the interaction of forces we are still trying to understand. A coherence that suggests the cosmos is not merely expanding into emptiness, but unfolding according to a deeper structure that shapes its evolution from within. And this realization carries weight, because it challenges the way we think about existence itself. It suggests that what we observe is not a collection of isolated events, but part of a larger process, a system where the visible and invisible are inseparably linked, where the unseen plays a defining role in shaping everything we can detect. And once you accept that possibility, another question rises, quietly but persistently. If the universe operates as a system far more complex than we perceive, how much of it are we actually seeing? Because the answer may be far smaller than we are comfortable admitting. What if we are missing most of reality? There is a quiet assumption that follows us through every discovery, that what we see, measure, and understand represents most of what exists. But the deeper we look into the universe, the more that assumption begins to dissolve. Everything we have explored so far points in the same direction. The visible universe, the stars, the galaxies, the glowing structures that define the night sky may be only a small fraction of what is truly there. The rest does not reveal itself through light. It does not interact in ways that our senses can detect directly, and yet it shapes everything we observe. This is not a philosophical idea. It is a conclusion forced upon us by evidence. When we calculate the total mass required to explain the motion of galaxies, most of it is missing from what we can see. When we map the large-scale structure of the cosmos, the visible matter traces the outline of something much larger, something hidden beneath it. When we analyze the expansion of the universe, we find that an unseen influence is accelerating it in ways that defy simple explanation. And so, we arrive at a realization that is difficult to ignore. We may be perceiving only a thin layer of reality, like standing in a vast ocean and believing the surface is all there is, while beneath it lies a depth we have barely begun to explore. Our instruments extend our reach, our theories expand our understanding, but they may still be touching only the outer edges of something far more complex. This is where humility enters the conversation, because it forces us to confront the limits of our perception. It reminds us that our understanding of the universe is not complete, not final, not even close. It suggests that there are layers of reality that remain hidden, not because they are unreachable, but because we have not yet learned how to see them. And this is what makes the mystery so compelling. We are not just discovering new objects, we are discovering the boundaries of our own awareness. Each anomaly, each unexplained pattern, each hidden influence is a signal that there is more to uncover, more to understand, more to question. And once you begin to accept that most of reality may be invisible, a new urgency begins to form. Because if we are missing so much, then how do we go further? How do we build tools capable of revealing what has remained hidden since the beginning? Because the next step in this journey is not just about observation, it is about creating new ways of seeing. The next generation of cosmic eyes. If the universe hides most of its truth beyond the reach of light, then seeing more requires more than looking harder. It requires learning to look differently. For centuries, our understanding of the cosmos depended on what our eyes could capture, then what our telescopes could amplify. Each new instrument expanded our vision, revealing deeper layers of reality. But now, we face a different challenge. The invisible does not respond to traditional observation. It does not shine. It does not announce itself. It must be uncovered through indirect traces, subtle interactions, signals that require entirely new ways of detection. And this is where the next generation of exploration begins. New observatories are being designed not just to see farther, but to detect what cannot be seen at all. Instruments capable of measuring distortions in space with extraordinary precision. Telescopes that can map the distribution of hidden mass by tracking the faintest shifts in light across billions of light years. Detectors built deep underground, shielded from interference, waiting for the rarest interactions that might reveal the true nature of what fills the cosmic void. This is no longer passive observation, it is active pursuit. Scientists are no longer asking only what is out there. They are asking how to reveal what refuses to be seen. They are building tools that do not rely on brightness, but on influence, on motion, on the subtle fingerprints left behind by forces that operate beyond our direct perception. And with each new generation of technology, the boundaries begin to move. What was once invisible becomes measurable. What was once theoretical becomes testable. The hidden structure of the universe starts to take on clearer form, not because it changes, but because our ability to detect it evolves. We begin to see patterns with greater clarity, to map connections with greater precision, and to understand the architecture that lies beneath everything we observe. But even as these new eyes open, they do not close the mystery, they deepen it. Because every answer reveals new questions, every discovery uncovers further complexity. The more we learn about what lies between galaxies, the more we realize how much remains beyond our grasp. And this is where the journey leads, to a point where observation meets realization, where the darkness is no longer something we ignore, but something we must confront directly. Because the final understanding is not about what we can see. It is about what has been there all along, shaping the universe in silence. The darkness that is not empty. There was a time when we believed the universe was defined by its light. Stars marked its structure, galaxies gave it form. Everything beyond that glow was treated as absence, a quiet separation between luminous islands scattered across an otherwise empty expanse. It was a simple picture, a comforting one, but it was never complete. What we have uncovered changes that picture in a way that cannot be undone. The darkness between galaxies is not a gap. It is not a void. It is a presence, something vast, silent, and essential, shaping the universe from within. It does not announce itself with brightness. It does not reveal its nature easily, but it leaves traces everywhere, in motion, in structure, in the path of light itself. And those traces all point to the same truth. The universe is not built primarily from what we can see. The stars, the galaxies, the glowing structures that capture our attention are only a fraction of the whole. Beneath them lies a deeper reality, one that carries most of the universe's mass, defines its architecture, and guides its evolution across billions of years. The visible cosmos is not the foundation, it is the surface. This realization changes how we see everything. It tells us that the greatest forces in existence may be the ones that remain hidden, that the most important structures in the universe may never be directly observed. That reality itself extends far beyond the limits of our senses, waiting to be uncovered through patience, curiosity, and the willingness to question what seems obvious. And there is something profoundly human in that, because this journey is not just about space, it is about perspective. It is about recognizing that our understanding is always incomplete, that every answer opens the door to something deeper. It is about standing at the edge of the known and choosing to look further, even when the path ahead disappears into darkness. The universe does not hide its secrets out of reach. It reveals them slowly, through patterns, through anomalies, through whispers carried across unimaginable distances. And what we are beginning to hear, what we are only now starting to understand, is that the darkness itself is speaking, not as emptiness, but as the unseen foundation of everything that exists.